Yeah, so actually, I had honestly never even thought about this until I made my film. And that's when I started understanding my own position and my gaze, And I made a film about my own family. And I didn't understand at that time I'm also making a film about myself in a way. And while suddenly, I have seen my family my whole life. And suddenly, when I started looking through the camera, that's when I realized this shift kind of happening in my gaze. I mean, the way I was uh, watching everyone suddenly became devoid of the roles I had already assigned to them outside this camera life.
Right.
So a new kind of um, these new people started emerging in front of me, whom I had known my whole life, but not known at all. And that's when I realized this shift happened in the way I am looking at things and the way I have been looking at things until now. Like, there was patriarchy in my family, like my whole life, and I didn't see it until I saw through the camera, which was strange for me because then suddenly I started looking at the same people who were my family members as characters. I started seeing my father for everything who he is. I started seeing my grandfather for who he is. I've started seeing my brother for who he's going to become, sort of a thing. And it was strange that they're just repeating history like again and again and again. The same things happening. And it's not just that they are repeating, the women are also repeating it.
Right.
Con- like uh, because they have accepted that this is our position, sort of a thing. And I took that for granted for the long time in the film itself, while making the film also, until my started revealing a different world to me, which she would not have otherwise at all. It was just the presence of the camera, and suddenly I was listening to her daughter, which I have not done my whole life, probably. And now suddenly, just because the camera was there, she almost found this portal to communicate with me. She knew that when the
Right.
camera is there, I listen, sort of a thing. So it was strange that her gaze also shifted in a way. Her way of looking, her position kind of completely shifted. And like I lived with my family, and I always thought I'm very close to them. My mother had been writing a book for 2 years, and I was completely unaware until I started shifting. And that's when I kind of understood. So that's when I kind of realized that the kind of film that I want to make now is to give a voice to my mother, which she has hidden from me her whole life, sort of a thing. So um so it became interesting that I knew the kind of film I want to make. I wanted to make a film about women in my family, and looking at this microcosm, I kind of wanted to see like a bigger society of sorts. And that's when I very consciously decided to give only her a voice in the film, like in the sense that a voice which had been suppressed for so long. And that communication kind of also became the film. And that's what I'm saying. So I was so unaware before that, but then I started seeing the world differently. So I think what happens with films, and especially with documentaries, is that when you start observing something that's in film and it's in front of you, you start observing it outside also of yourself. And there's a shift that happens inside you in that process, sort of a thing. So I think my gaze definitely shifted. The way I look at women, the way I look at men completely changed after making of this film, because the role I had assigned to my mom, that this is my mother, she is my father's wife, she is my brother's mother, she is somebody's something. Um, all those roles completely disappeared, and then she became
Right.
a person, she became a friend, she became a person with hopes and dreams. And that's how and I think in the making of any film that really happens, that your gaze, your position keeps shifting while you're making it, kind of a thing. And it's a very beautiful process, because you yourself are a changed person by the end of it, and I think you see the world completely differently. So yeah, so I'm hoping now whenever I make my next film, I'm very sure I will make a women centric film, and that I start seeing the world even more differently next time I do.